All right, what is up, everybody? Shell Scout 0013 here, coming in just to tell you a little bit about the giveaways that are going on. If you are interested in that, just stay tuned for a second. If you want to just skip to the awesomeness that we recorded, you can look in the description down below for the timestamp of when it starts and the different lists that we go over and talk about. But first, I just want to shout out the Discord. If you want to win some Baron of Dice vehicle damage dice, all you got to do is head on over to the Discord, become a member, and once you just start, talking and chatting away, I'm going to go look at the server level here and just pick somebody from the server level that has been active just to give a reward for being active in there. If you also want to win, you can head on over to the Patreon, become a Patreon member there, and you don't even have to be a paying member. All you got to do is be a member, but if you are a paying member, you do get extra chances to win. And lastly, all you got to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment down below to enter in. And those are the three different giveaway give chances to win. And then lastly, if you want, you can head on over to theburnacademy.com where you can subscribe for 15 bucks a month to be able to gain 3, 4, 5, and 6 day a week workout programs, corrective exercise programs in case you've been injured before, 30-minute torture programs in case you're short on time, at-home workouts, abs and core programs, cardio circuits, 120 different recipes, all future programs, videos, and descriptions of all the different exercises and workouts and different ways to track your progress. It's been awesome to see you guys who have joined this and are working out and sticking to it. It's great to see, and you guys are doing awesome. So if you're interested in having a personal trainer for 50 cents a day at your fingertips to be able to talk to me and to be able to have all of these workouts, definitely hit me up. And lastly, the ComScan order tokens are sold out at the moment, but go to their store and give them a look because these are the best order tokens that I have gotten ever. And this guy really deserves your business. So I really appreciate you guys visiting him, even leaving a comment asking when these will be back in stock, just to show him that there are people interested. So yeah, feel free. And then if you put in Shout Scouts 13, you will be, Shout Scout 13, you'll be able to get that 10% off discount code when you do order these, whenever they come back in stock. But all right, guys, I appreciate it. And back to the show. All right, what is up, everybody? So, Shadow Scout 0013 here, coming in with Canadian Bear.
Oh,
And today we're going to go over the LAAT and talk a little bit about the Republic LAAT and the Imperial LAAT. And mostly the only differences between the two are the pilots. And I'll let Canadian Bear kind of talk about the Republic ones while I'll talk about the Imperial. And then we each have about 3 different lists, I think 2 Republic and 1 Imperial each to kind of go over, and they are fun. So I am really, truly excited to talk about those. But we'll go over the Republic LAAT list or pilots first, and I'll let Canadian Bear take it away.
so we've got the LAAT for both factions. It is a 100 points base. Originally it was 120, so thank you for that nice price cut. It has full armor, Arsenal 2, native cover 1, hover air 2, so it can go sideways if it wants to. It can go back up. It's not a speeder. It is immune blast, melee, and range 1 weapons like all flyers, and is a transport 1 closed. So it's a full unit. It's not the single model of the units like
The open, or like the land speeder.
land speeder. Yeah, that's the one. It is white defense dice with 8 health, 6 for its break value, speed 2, and surge to block. It can take a pilot, a ordnance, or a comms, and then it has a range 1 to 3 fixed front, red 1 red 3 black for a range attack.
I really like, by the way, the armor and the cover 1 because that really helps it to keep it alive a little bit longer.
Yeah, if it didn't have that cover 1, it would it would be even more sad.
Yeah. And the hover air too, being able to ignore height 2 terrain, reverse strafe, and standby, because all of the repulsor vehicles can't stand by. So having this one to be able to do that in a transport is real nice. Now, real quick, does the taking a standby, so like moving, taking a standby, and then maybe there's a unit that triggers the standby before you disembark. Does that count as two moves and you can only take one disembark and that's it? Or can you still disembark and then do another action?
So the if you were to do a second move off of the standby trigger, then that would count towards the unit performing two moves. So the unit inside would only be able to do the one uh, move to disembark. They couldn't do a move and then another action.
So it'd probably be best to like get in a good position, then move, and then if you take a standby, probably disembark first, and then if you then move with the standby, does this displace anything?
Yeah, so it would be like a regular vehicle where any move it makes has the potential to displace and hand out a suppression.
And that could be really, really nice if you have like a good blast weapon, which we'll maybe talk about later.
Um, and so for pilots for the clones, we have Clone Commander Fox for 10 whole points. You have the free action to choose a friendly trooper unit you are transporting or at range 1 to 2. It gains an aim and may remove one suppression token. No. No, 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 no.
Gains a certain. I wish it gained an aim. That would be really nice.
Yeah. Probably not worth it, but not that we're talking about the AA5, but they came out at the same time as the LAAT, and all three came with a named pilot, and we'll talk about it later, but I think Fox is probably the only one that doesn't have any builds for him.
It's sad because he's good. Well, in the show, I should say.
Yeah. He's good and is deserving of all the hate he gets. Our other named pilot is Hound and Grizzer. I guess I should say pilots. You gain Action Observe 4, range 1 to 3, can a single enemy unit gains 4 observation tokens for 8 points. That probably should be changed to a free action or at the very least a nice little price cut.
Yeah.
Because as we'll see, there is one that's much cheaper than both of these.
And really good.
Yes. And our last one is the generic clone shock trooper pilot. He is only 4 points. How this is only 4 points when everything else is priced the way it is, I don't know. But after a unit you are transporting disembarks, it gains 1 surge token and either an aim or a dodge. So you get 2 tokens. Granted, you have to be disembarking, but for 4 points, whereas Fox gives you a single surge. And that's it. And we can take away suppression, but it's not worth it's not worth 6 more points.
No, yeah, I think it would be better if it was, again, 5 points, maybe 6. Because a surge token is very situational, and removing a suppression is nice, but you don't always have to remove a suppression because sometimes they don't have the suppression token. So I don't really think that it should cost 10 points either. And being a field commander, if price is only 5 points as a field commander, and or I think even Veers could be 5 points. Yeah, Veers is also 5 points. Shriv is 5 points. No, 8 points.
Or Shriv is 10.
10? Okay, okay. But he does way more.
He does a very gimmicky thing, and is very deserving of his 10 points with R2. So he is deserving of his 10 points and is on a much cheaper transport than these guys.
Oh, yeah.
But one thing also with Fox is the units that you're typically thinking of transporting in a LAAT either have a very high courage value or have suppression mitigation built into them. So there aren't many things that have issues with getting rid of or managing their suppression already that you're thinking of transporting. So that's the other big issue. But yeah, did you want to go over the Empire pilots?
Oh, yeah. Let's go over those real quick. So there are 3 Imperial pilots as well, and the stats for the LAT are the exact same. But we have Baron Reuter, who is 8 points. Or, yeah, he's 8 points, right? Yeah, 8 points.
Yep,
And,
he got a price cut.
yeah, he went from 12 to 8, which is, I'm glad. Because he basically just gains marksman, so you can spend aim tokens to improve your attack die results. And after you recover, you gain an aim token, which is great because, sometimes you're probably going to be adding either HQ uplink or, yeah, HQ uplink or something else maybe, but mostly the ordnance all are exhaustible, and if you want to recover
Yep.
and shoot again, you're not going to be able to get the aim token. So it's nice that he gives you the aim token and gives you marksman for 8 points. So he's really good. And then you've got Governor Price. Governor Price is, I'm always struggling with her. I think she's good, but I really like her for the fact that it's a free action to choose a friendly trooper unit that you're transporting or at range 1 to 2, and it's going to gain an aim and a suppression token. So it's going to gain aim and a cover. It's just with Empire, a lot of those units are courage 1, but now we're starting to get a lot more courage 2, and the range troopers are going to be pretty fun to give out an aim token to as well, and a suppression since they're courage 2, and then when you shoot, you get a free aim token if you're shooting a trooper. So,
They're also indomitable, so
oh
they,
yeah.
they doubly don't care.
Yeah, they really, really don't care. So I feel like if you're able to make that work, because the LAT's probably moving forward and they're not moving forward as much, but maybe like before you move, you might be able to give them a free aim action if you're just not going to do anything. But that is Governor Price, so she's nice. And then you have an Imperial TIE Pilot, and the Imperial TIE Pilot is great if you want to go fast because it basically is 8 points to increase your maximum speed by 1, which I don't think is worth 8. I think it might be worth like 4 to 5. But having a speed 3 LAT is going to be zooming because that base is huge, and you're going to be able to move into melee or move into your enemy lines fairly quickly. So that's pretty nice. And then strafing at speed 3. Oh, wow. I'm sure that'll throw a lot of people off if you plan on doing that too. Now, the ordinances are the same. Do you want to talk about them, or do you want me to just go over them real quick? Or
Um, yeah, you can go over them. That's fine. Go
okay,
for
yeah.
it.
So we have the Bunker Buster Shells, which is blast, range 1 to 2, a black and 3 white. It's going to cycle, so at the end of your activation, if you didn't use this card, you can ready it. It's fixed front, so strafing is probably going to be your best friend, so that you can kind of keep the front arc aiming at your opponents. And then it's scatter, which is great for anything that is going to be melee or range 1 to 2 for your ranged attack. So scatter, basically, after you perform an attack action against a small base trooper unit, you can place each defending non-leader mini in cohesion. So the unit leader is going to stay where he is, but you're going to be able to rearrange all of the other troopers in that unit. And that's 12 points. So it's the most expensive. And the next expensive, but really nice, is a range 2 to 3 armor piercing shells. It's a red and 2 black. It's again cycle. It's fixed front and impact 3, which is going to be very fun because if you're rolling it with the LAAT, which has a natural range 1 to 2, red and 3 black, you're going to be rolling 5 black, 2 red, impact 3. And then maybe at some point, if you're able to fire support with the RPS, that's going to be a ton. If you're in Republic, that's going to a ton of impact. That's impact 5, I think, because I think they're impact
Yeah,
2.
impact.
Okay, yeah. So So that could be a very fun one to fire support with. And then the last one is the high energy shells, which I think is always really nice. It's the long range 2 to 4, and it's 2 red and a white. It's critical 1. So since the LAATs don't surge, it's nice to be able to get that free critical 1 involved. Again, it's cycle and then high velocity. And since we're seeing a lot of dodge spam, this is probably going to be really nice to have. And if you were to do like a LAAT with these and maybe the commandos, which now have high velocity, or your snipers, which will have high velocity, and Empire, Republic, or sorry, Rebels, and I think that's it. Yeah, I think the other ones don't have high velocity, if I'm not mistaken.
Both the Civil War do.
But the what?
Both the Civil War snipers have high velocity.
Okay.
Yeah. So your scouts have them.
Yes. So the scouts, the rebels, and then now the clone commandos finally have high velocity, which is going to be really, really nice in Republic. So yeah, that is all 3 ordnance shells. And then so you can just spice up the flavor with what you like, and you'll be able to use all of those. And then the other thing that you'll be able to take on all of them are the comms. And Canadian Bear, you can, or Graham, you can basically say what you think your top 3 that you mostly use, or maybe your most used upgrades that you would take with the LAAT on the comms slot.
Say number, I think outside of one pilot, I would say onboard is probably my go-to. For the onboard comms, if the in this case the LAAT gets an order, the unit it's transporting gets an order as well. So that's 2 orders for the cost of 1. But also it lets you not have to worry about running out of tokens in your bag for what you're transporting before your LAAT gets into play, so you're not wasting an activation. And then maybe if you don't want that, you could go for comms jammers if you don't care so much about order control. And otherwise, if specifically Baron Rudor, HQ Uplick.
Yes. Because that free recover.
Yep.
Now, I think if you're taking Cody, comms relay could be maybe considered because of that free direct to a vehicle in case you wanted to like bounce your order to something else. What do you think? Or maybe save that for non-LAAT bouncing.
Yeah, I think probably non-LAAT, just because there were better fire support platforms in Republic than the LAAT. So I would probably not worry about doing the relay LAAT, but other vehicle units, absolutely.
Okay.
Doing that.
What about emergency transponder?
It's not bad, but it's just not. It's more universal, but with how the LAAT is built and how cover is, probably wanting to either be more aggressive or pretty much, unless it's Baron Rudor, you're probably being aggressive with them. One way or the other. And at that point, either you want to make sure that you have better order control for the things you're transporting, or you would rather mess up the units you're going against than worrying about a potential dodge, because most pools, if you're worrying about impact, the cover 1 or possibly cover 2 is probably going to do more than a one-off dodge would, unfortunately.
No, yeah, no. Do you think that either hacked comms unit as well could be worth it with the lot just to get an order, or you would probably rather save it probably for onwards comms or HQ uplink, but just to see if there were any cases to bring maybe hacked comms or something else.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think it's at the very least it's getting an order out of your bag. So yeah, I would take I would take half comms before something like link targeting array, probably.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that mostly will cover it. I think long range comm link is probably situational as well, and command control. There's no coordinate on it, so there's no point in bringing that. You have some amazing lists, and I really want to talk about that Empire one first because that one is awesome.
Uh, just if you're an Ewok player out there, I'm sorry for the nightmare fuel. But we have it's a 9 activation list, 800 points. One shore trooper with the T-21, an Imperial officer just to give it courage 2, one mortar, two snowtroopers with flamer flame troopers and an extra snowtrooper with impact grenades. So sorry, Chewie ATST. And then three dewbacks with endurance transponders and their flame rifle as well. Um, we've got one LAAT with price and onboard comms, and then a second LAAT with Baron Rudor, armor piercing shells, and onboard comms. Um, pretty, I'm not a big fan of price, but I found a way to possibly make her work. um, if you're probably not giving the aim to your snowtroopers, but if you really want to, that's not a terrible thing. They're already in range 1. But after that, if she's still alive, throwing an aim and a suppression on your endurance dewbacks when they're removing 2 suppression a turn is not bad. Pretty much you're only saving that transponder for dodges. Just make sure they get in there. And yeah, that's kind of it. It's um, yeah, it's a lot of flames, lots of flames and fire, and a decent amount of impact and blast as well. So yeah,
Yes, lots of spray, lots of blast, and still lots of impact because, I mean, if you're rolling 4 impact grenades along with, you don't have to do the the flamethrower. You could probably do like 5 impact with that, and then you could have a possible fire support to get that critical one if the mortar had an option, or um, yeah, the armor piercing shells again with the impact 3 is pretty good. So you have lots of ways to get high impact. And I know the command cards are basically all the generic command cards because you don't have any specific commanders or anything. And the only problem that you might run into is the covert observations, but everything else is going to seriously hinder your opponent, especially pinned down and coordinated fire, like you were mentioning, giving it to the snows and the shore trooper, and then giving that possible aim because it's to any unit at range 1 to 2. You could give it to the Baron Rooter, like you were mentioning earlier, and use that
yep.
marksman, um,
Uh, yeah.
or the
Pretty
dewbacks, or
much. Even with like covert observation, as I'm thinking about it, since nothing can receive the order from the card. I mean, if you draw a heavy, you go with Baron, um, and if you've got 4 core tokens, so you've got decent control there, and you've got 3 supports, so the bag is pretty consistent on that turn anyway. So it's still not terrible. but it could definitely be better.
I mean, it's at
Uh,
least allowing you to possibly go first,
yes. Yeah.
and that'll probably be
And if you get to
important.
go first,
Yeah,
yeah, you get a good chance of getting what you probably want just with how consistent the bag is.
yeah,
Uh,
I
but
like that
yeah.
one a lot. And if anyone is also interested, I leave these lists down in the descriptions down below just in case you wanted even more info on like the um, command, or sorry, not commands, the deployment and conditions and objectives. Because I didn't know if you wanted to go over any of that. If not, they're at least in the description for people.
Yeah. Pretty much like you would imagine, this list wants to get in your face, and outside of the two snowtroopers that are going to be next to either the field commander or eventually the dewbacks, they're the only ones that would possibly care about war weary. Um, but everything else is either courage two or is a vehicle. So that's kind of it. Otherwise, it is yeah, it's like breakthrough payload, mess them up, bombing run. Yeah, I want to get there. Um, and then rapid. Sure, let me drop two of my three dewbacks somewhere. It's all good.
Oh yeah,
But yeah.
yeah, I really like it, and it is very aggressive and in your face, and you want to be close as much as possible. Yeah, and then we have the I've called it Kashyyyk because it's got two Wookiees and two Fluttercrafts, 10 activations with a 3 point bid.
Yeah, so this is, I believe we've gone over this one once before, or at least some version of it. Um, but pretty much, I opted to try going for more or bigger Wookiees with that got the shield, and then bombardiers. So on the flutters instead of gunners, so that when the Wookiees get in there and are in melee, the bombardiers can still fly over the melees and drop bombs on the enemy units that thought they were safe. Um, and seeing how effective comms jammers were at Worlds, why not? Why not put it on also other big bases?
Oh yeah, they sucked against me like in one of my first tournament that had gone to. They had comms jammer, and that just kind of so screwed up everything that I was trying to get done.
And same idea. This uh, this list wants to get in your face. Thing is, just I have no ordnance on my LAAT, so whatever dice the four dice they natively have is all they got.
Which is still fine because I mean, you still have,
Yeah.
I mean, clone troopers just in case to add dice to that if they needed to.
Mm-hmm. But probably they're just hiding, doing objectives in the background.
Oh yeah,
But yeah,
nice.
uh,
And then just in case, the objectives would be breakthrough, key positions, bombing run, and payload. Again, just to be more aggressive. And then major offensive, rollout, battle lines, disarray, and then limited viz, war weary, minefield, because you've got a lot of floaty units that don't really care about the
yep,
minefield. And then fortified positions.
yep. Other things that don't care.
Exactly.
um,
And that
so yeah,
and that air support is really nice because again, you can give it to like the heavy, like the LAAT, and then have that onboard comm channel. Give it to the Wookiees, and let's see at the end of the round, uh, and it just says at the end of the activation of a friendly clone, a friendly commander clone trooper unit or a friendly field commander unit, it can perform an attack using the following weapon. So it doesn't say that it has to be the one with the order. So if you just wanted to give it to the LAAT, then you could, and then just have the clone commander at some point do do the shot,
The
just in
X-wing
case if
attack,
you
yeah.
didn't have the clone pilot on there and you had Fox Commander Fox on there, then you could have two different options and it doesn't really matter. But that's just a quick side note, just in case.
So, yeah. For the next list, I guess. Yeah.
I call it the
Or,
seventh.
I'm not.
I call it the Seventh Cavalry because of We Were Soldiers and the dropping of the people, the American soldiers. Yeah, sorry. Just
Yeah, you're
I
good.
couldn't think of the word for
Uh,
some reason.
this is the original list that I came up with involving LAATs and flutters. It's got 5 flying units, so very little is touching the ground. But it's 11 activations, so it is uh, it is weird for a clone list or a Republic list to have this many activations, but it is a lot of fun for the chaos that it causes. And yeah, we've gone over this list one before, but it's very similar to idea to the other one. It's just one more activation um, for an extra flutter, but they all have gunners, so better into armor and yeah, and red saves with the fierce ones.
Hmm. Yeah, I like this one a lot. It was tough to go up against because you're trying to shoot the armor, but they all have cover in the air, and then you're, you're worried about these Wookiees coming straight at you, but then you also have the Fluttercrafts piercing everything. Oh, it's total chaos.
And triple moving on that base, you can very easily land and block someone's safe key position so that their units can't touch it. Totally didn't do that to somebody with this list.
And I'm sure that they
But
were
yeah,
pulling their hair out at the same time.
yep, they were seeing it coming as I did one move at a time, and I was like, "There's nothing I can do about this."
Just praying.
That I didn't reach. Yep. But yeah,
I like it.
so
I thought 11 acts for this list was very intimidating at the same time. And I had an 11 act list going up against it too, but I had like 3 dewbacks and Din and still couldn't do anything. So yeah, I like
yeah.
it.
All right.
Um, so I have 3 different lists. This first one, with the help of Graham, kind of fine tuning it a little bit more. I call it Anakin's Escort. It's got Anakin with Force Push, Burst of Speed, Tenacity, and Seize the Initiative, just in case he needs an extra order at any point in time because of the command cards that we chose. And one of the fun things that we did mention before we recorded was that you don't, with the LAAT, you can't necessarily use Exemplar because you have to have line of sight. And when you're in a closed transport, you don't have line of sight. And but Barrier doesn't need line of sight, just in case you wanted to take Barrier for any reason, in case maybe you had an extra unit that could, because I think in the second list I've got Wookiees. So in case you didn't want to take Anakin in the LAAT and you wanted to put Wookiees in there or anything like that, Anakin can use the barrier in while he's inside the LAAT because you don't need line of sight. So that's just something random. And um, with the closed transport, that does kind of suck. Now, Graham, you were mentioning if there was a possible upgrade for the LAAT that could help that.
Yep. Especially with as we've like seen Commandos come out now, or fully revealed now, I should say, with their keyword, I guess it is, where the must equip um, a certain upgrade. If the LATs, both of them really, and we could extend this to the AA5 because you can officially mod it to have the doors open on that one as well. Um, to have a must equip. We'll say it's a gear slot, and then you have to give the units a gear slot, obviously, but they have to equip this, so it's effectively just for that. Where it's a flip card, since we have even more flip cards now for open and closed doors. So it can be an open or closed transport. I know there's a lot of like running jokes from a few months before, or like a month or two before Worlds, where everyone was talking about 2.0. And if we get a 2.0, I don't see why that couldn't be a thing.
Yeah, I think it would make a lot of sense because obviously they were I mean, even in the art for Price, they have them shooting out of a LAAT. So
Mm-hmm.
it would be cool to be able to have the doors open and shoot in, and other units would be able to possibly shoot out, and other units could possibly shoot in just in case, because you'd have to, with an open transport that is possible. Obviously, you'd have heavy cover, which makes a lot of sense, but being able to shoot out and or use it for line of sight purposes with Anakin's exemplar would also be really nice. So I think that would be such a cool upgrade.
And then give it the same text like uh, the commando weapon upgrade and the Wookiee shield, where it's at the start of your activation. You can decide if the doors are open or closed, and then it stays like that for your entire activation. So you get to deal with the consequences of your choice.
Yeah, and that would make the LAAT way more dynamic, and I feel like more people would probably take it because the strategies that you could come up with an open flying transport could be a lot of fun, especially with the pilots that they have still.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
It would make the observe of Hounding Grisser a little bit more interesting as well.
yes, that does make sense because then if you use that or that pilot to put the observe for, and then you are shooting out of the LAAT the next activation. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, and then let's see. What if you combined that observe 4 with Cody's observe, and could I'm not familiar necessarily with the text on the command cards for Cody, but does it say his specific observe tokens or just observe tokens? Because if it's just observe tokens and you combined the two, that could be really good.
Yeah, it's just observe tokens, so it's any tokens that are out there that are observe tokens.
The amount of impact or suppressive that you could do, because if you did observe 4 on a unit that was like extremely tough to go up against or with high courage value, and then you observed other units, you've got multiple units with observe tokens, and then you could really make use of that 1 and 3 pip of his. Oh, okay, all right, AMG, we need to get on that now.
Hopefully they were on that 2 years ago, like they say it takes.
Yes, right. We don't need it 2 years from now. Yeah, I hope they're already discussing it.
Yeah.
But okay, so we'll get back. Let's see. So Anakin with Force Push, Burst of Speed, Tenacity, and Seize, and then you've got the LAAT with the Clone Shock Trooper Pilot to be able to give Anakin the Surge, and or a Dodge and or a Surge and either an aim or a dodge. You've got the Bunker Buster Shells, so that way you can shoot a unit and then cohere it forward so that Anakin has an easier time disembarking and then moving into melee. And then you've got Comms Jammer on the transport to prevent, on the next turn, them from getting an order as well, so they can't just leave combat before Anakin does anything. I've got a Clone Commander with improvised orders. You've got a Clone Phase 1 Trooper unit with 5s and Recon Intel, so that the Clone Commander can give the order to 5s, who can then bounce it for some fire support options between the RPS and Z6, which also both have Recon Intel, so all your core have Recon Intel. And then just 3 simple strike teams with the DZ-15, the Emergency Transponder for the aim, dodge, or suppression removal, and Recon Intel for that Scout 3. So every single unit except for the Clone Commander basically has Recon Intel, excluding, Anakin inside the LAAT. So that way you're closer to objectives or closer to the things that you need while you're being super forward and aggressive with Anakin. So I thought that would be pretty fun. And, you've got a synchronized defensive. This is where the fun begins. You underestimate my power. Air support, clone hero of the Clone Wars, and attack of the clones. And we were kind of discussing maybe like the order of Anakin's cards. Since you're kind of moving in very fast with the LAAT, you'd probably want to go 3-1-2, but obviously 3-2-1 can also be a very viable option. Depends on how fast you're moving the LAAT or your opponent's stuff. If they have a lot of impact, you're probably moving it slower, so you might be able to do 3-2-1. The only reason I mentioned 3-1-2 is because obviously you want to have that reliable 2 on Anakin, and then maybe if you're close enough to disembark, you go with the 1 pip, since he's going to be able to want to have Relentless. And then by turn 3, you give him the Master of the Force, Defend, and Surge to crit. And since he's got Burst of Speed, if there was a way that the unit that you just kind of went into withdrew or was dead, you can burst of speed easily into an objective in the back lines of your opponent or into another unit that's important to them. So that's just a random thought. And then we have the second one, which has the LAAT with the Clone Shock Trooper, Bunker Buster Shells, and Onboard's comm channel. So the Onboards is a little bit different. The Wookiee Warriors with the Battle Shield, Tenacity, and Into the Fray. And that way, whenever you give the LAAT the order, the Onboard's comm channel is going to give it to the Wookiees. You've got Captain Rex, good old Captain Rex here with Aggressive Tactics, Up Close and Personal, the Jetpack, and Recon Intel. And we had mentioned this in the Discord probably last week at some point, because Pally, a great guard player as well, was talking about the different upgrades on Captain Rex, and I had mentioned that with the jetpack, it's nice to have the jetpack on there because a climb action doesn't allow you to benefit from tactical, and a jump action will. So being able to use jump 2, keep him maneuverable, and keep him mobile, will also give him that tactical so that you can benefit from that aim. And then a Naked Clone Commander, you've got 3 phase 1s, one of them with the DC-15 and a Clone Medic, another one with an RPS and a Clone Medic, and then a third one with the Z6 and a Clone Medic and Recon Intel, so that you can kind of, if you needed to have the Clone Commander give the phase 1 in order to set up the fire support from the Z6 in case you needed to shoot with the RPS and then fire support with the Z6 for all of the extra dice and impact 2, then you could. And then you've got 2 strike teams, one with Echo and one with the DC-15 for 9 activations. And then you are bringing all of Rex's cards as well as Synchronized Defensive to be able to give the LAAT in order, which will give the Wookiees in order, and then you can give maybe one of the phase 1s in order so that you have 2 commanders, 2 core, and 2 special forces. And then with air support, you don't necessarily have a field commander, but you do have 2 different commanders. So as long as one of them finishes and they both have sharpshooter 1, which is going to be really nice to have. So you don't know, your opponent doesn't know which one is going to use that fire support, or air support, I should say, which is pretty great. And again, just in case if anyone else is, kind of new to Republic, that first shot that you use for air support, which is a red and 2 black, you can fire support on, maybe with that RPS or the DC-15, which is probably range 4, which you might be. So then that first shot could have either the DC-15, 2 red to add 3 red, 2 black, critical 1, or maybe a single rainbow along with that for the extra impact 2, and then beam it over, which you cannot fire support on the beamed, which is, fine. And then, you've got intercept, recover, hostage, and key positions, advanced, major offensive, rollout, and hemmed in, and minefield, clear conditions, fortified, and supply drop. And the minefield is just kind of, in there because the LAAT is going to move past them pretty easily, and then maybe you are completing objectives on your side, like intercept the transmissions or recover the supplies, which is going to be pretty easy for you. Hostage exchange, which is going to maybe suck for a little bit. And then key positions, kind of maybe not the best with minefield, but if you needed to, maybe you could change minefield to something a little different, but without... you do have 2 commanders, I guess, so maybe instead of minefield, you could go with War Weary. I feel like that might be less destructive on your end.
They'll probably be staying pretty close to your clone commander at the very least, so they can keep getting directed. So, yeah, worry would work pretty nicely as well. And
Did you have any other input as
hopefully,
well?
uh, I was just gonna say, hopefully, if you're air supporting, you get to air support with Rex, just so you have the surge conversion.
Oh yeah, because he does surge to crit.
Mhm. Um, so even if he only gets to double move, he's now got two aims, and then he can still make the attack and the two beam attacks that follow. Um, but yeah, other than that, actually, one thing I'm realizing is probably moving the recon on the Z6 to the phase or to the RPS, just because you're probably more likely to scouting party the DC-15 and the Z6. So that way, like the Z6 is more likely to get fire sports on turn one, whereas the RPS, not more often than not, just needs that little bit of extra movement. So yeah, that's the only thing I'm realizing right now. But other than that, it looks. I would rather not. I would rather go up against the Anakin list than this list. I think this one is it has some extra spice to it, especially with the three medics too. Uh, that's a lot of that's a lot of healing for clones.
Oh yeah.
Um, and it's also a lot of surges between aggressive and bolster and echoes. Reliable one. Yeah, it's a very. I like this list a lot. Um, and the bunker shells are going to be really nice to help out the Wookiees if you need that too. Otherwise, it's still blast and scatter. So it'll make your fire supports more potent too to push the enemy units out of cover.
Yes,
But
and
yeah,
I think with aggressive tactics, it doesn't count just towards just friendly units. So if you did need to give the lat, if you were planning on probably attacking with the bunker buster shells that turn, maybe if you gave it in order, you can give it a surge token just in case, because between the other three orders with the aggressive tactics and clone commander being able to hand out those surge tokens to other friendly units that are closer to it, then that could you know at least help with that blast, especially.
the funny thing with the bunker busters, and then we can move on to the last list. Um, was it's probably the one time where you hope you roll all blanks because then you're not giving your opponent suppression for light cover. Unless you're going against droids, then it doesn't matter. But if you could do that, then they will have no cover. And I guess if you're doing air support, it doesn't really matter with Rex and the clone commander having the sharpshooter one, but it still would be nice. But hey, it's options.
That is true. So I probably would skip that surge token then on the lat because they already surged
You can still
defensively.
use it for defense.
Well, they already surged defensively.
Oh, that's right, right. Yep, and we went over that too.
Hey, it is okay. I'm still
Uh,
learning Gar, and you're still learning Legion. I'm just kidding. I'm highly kidding. You are way better than me, so I'll give you that one. Um,
if you say so.
all right, so the last one is the Imperial LAAT version. We have Vader instead of Anakin. So Anakin still loves the LAAT no matter what you call him. So Vader with Inspiring Presence because you can use his infinite courage on the LAAT's base size. So you are highly increasing the courage range of Vader. And then I've got Burst of Speed because he's speed 1. And again, if you do disembark him and you need to get to an objective, Burst of Speed has helped me a lot on him. Force Push and Reflexes. So he is pretty expensive, but he's definitely worth it with 8 health and infinite courage to be able to support everything else. You've got the LAAT with Baron Rooter, the Bunker Buster shells again for that scatter to be able to get Vader into melee quicker, and then HQ uplink. And with both of the Bunker Buster and HQ uplink being exhaustible, taking that recover action to gain that HQ uplink back and the Bunker Busters back immediately, and then shooting with that free aim from Baron Rooter is really nice. I think that this is probably the most efficient Imperial build with Rooter because of the exhaustible upgrades on there. And then 2 shore troopers that are just the T-21B and Recon Intel for that extra Scout 1. You've got a 3rd shore trooper with the T-21B and a medical droid with Recon as well, so that your shores and your mortars get a really good position. And then a random strike team in there that's already got Scout 3. So everything, again, has Scout, just kind of like in the clone one, to be able to get a better position. And then you're bringing all of Vader's cards. And I've got push in there to just kind of make sure that the LAAT, just in case, needed something. Or if you wanted to give Vader something, you could take the other 2-pip that Vader has, the new ways to motivate them, because you've got a medic in there. If you did give it to the shore trooper, then you could double move to get to where you need to, or if you were carrying an objective, you could double move and then shoot while you still have that free aim, so that kind of is 4 actions in the 3, because you don't have to take the aim, you already have it from getting the order, just in case. And yeah, that is a possibility.
It's a good turn 2 play.
Say what?
Using push. It's a good turn 2 play for push. That way you've HQ'd on turn 1, so the LAAT's out of your bag, and then turn 2 Vader's further up the field, so he's less likely to be able to order one of your other units, so giving it to the LAAT and himself. Again, so the LAAT's out of the bag, and now he can, if he needs to do one more move, you can make sure it happens quickly enough. And it's pretty neutral, and that way you're saving your big stuff for once Vader's really in the mix still.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So I like that a lot. And again, all of these will be in the description down below, just in case you wanted to try any of these out. I am thinking about it myself, especially the one that you made with the flames. Those seem like that should be a lot of fun.
Yes. Again, I'm sorry, Ewok players. And droids, I guess.
Yeah, especially the experimental droids, because obviously you've got probably a full commando droids in there. So having spray and forcing them to roll all those dice could be fun, or at least expending their shields and then following up with that second flamer, snows, or even the dewbacks.
I mean, that's one of their weaknesses is melee, so if you can tie them up long enough for the dewbacks to get in, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, any other stuff about the lists or anything else about the LAAT and stuff like that?
Let us know if you come up with any LAAT lists on the Discord. Look forward to seeing that, and or even if you have other ideas to maybe improve the LAAT, like we were trying to with the upgrade. Yeah, look forward to seeing what people say.
Yeah, that upgrade I think would change the game for the LAAT, and you probably see it a little bit more often. But
I'll say, if that upgrade did exist, probably bump the AA5 up by 5 points and make the upgrade free. The LAAT can stay as it is.
would you make it, because with the LAAT only having an ordnance and comms and stuff like that, what kind of upgrade would you make it? I know you said like a gear slot kind of deal, but
yeah.
So you'd have to attach it to the unit you plan on having it transport?
So make it a gear slot and give the LAAT and the AA5 a gear slot as an upgrade, but then give them the keyword text that says they have to equip whatever the name of this door upgrade is. So it's just there as like a holder for them for the upgrade to go somewhere.
Okay.
And not for all the other things because I was looking at the upgrades and like, oh, let's not give them portable scanners and binocs, please. We don't need to do that. Or weirdly enough, e-stims on your on your vehicles would be hilarious, but no, please.
Yeah, no, thank you on that one. That one would be that would just make that thing so hard to kill.
But yeah, just as something, I don't, I don't think it would need. Giving it points is kind of weird, that upgrade. So I think like one way is just making it free and then leaving the LAAT as it is at 100 points and bringing the AA5 up from I believe it's at 75. Yeah, 75 to 80 points. I think that is definitely worth the trade off. And yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Oh, whoa. I don't know what I just did. Whoops. All right. Well, whatever. I just accidentally clicked. Made you big, which is awesome. But
Oh, oh no.
but thanks everybody for watching and coming along. This was such a good video, I think, with Graham because he's played the LAAT quite a bit and or had these very fun lists with the LAAT, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, definitely. I like concepts. Whether they work or not, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you next time. Peace out, guys.
See you later.